Today is the 10th of March 2011, and this is a presentation for Unctad by Sessinam Lucas Dagadu. The background. I went back to Ghana in November 2011 and I noticed a problem, and that was a problem of location. People always knew where they were, but in order to communicate that to you, they had to resort to language like you pass the blue gate, you find a church, you turn left, you see a woman selling plantain, you turn right there, you see another woman selling fish, and then you turn left, and then you see a green gate. And all this was happening because there was no reliable addressing system. And because there was no reliable addressing system, emergency services could not work. Imagine having to be on the phone for 20 minutes to tell the police or ambulance services where you are so that they can come and help you. Most of the times, if you can afford to do that, then you don't really need the police or the ambulance services. So all these services are rendered effectively useless in developing countries. And postal services and other commercial activities just don't exist. For example, food delivery, it just doesn't exist. I thought about a solution, but I always knew that the solution had to be robust, precise, future-proof, and cheap. And the best solution I came up with was an app for mobile phones. How it works. In order to see how it works, I'll have to show you a demonstration. So you will have to switch to demonstration 1 at this point to see how the solution works. So what has this got to do with the Unctad MIS system? Well, in reading some of the documentation, I came across a very interesting snippet. It says, a fundamental role of a market information service is also to encourage more efficient spatial and temporal arbitrage. Those two phrases really caught my eye. So spatial arbitrage. Now, from what we saw, I'm going to give you some numbers. Now, the UK and Ghana are about the same size in terms of land area, but the UK has 1.7 million postcodes, as compared to the 410 million that we are able to generate for the same land area in Ghana. Now, this means that the system is at least 230 times more accurate for the same land area. And it's infinitely more easy to manage. But this is an algorithmic issue, and so it's a little bit technical, but we can go into that at the end of the presentation. It has significantly reduced deployment costs. And that is because what you need to do is just put it up on the internet and get people to download it as and when they need it. And they can download it from anywhere. They don't need to come to a special government office or pay a bribe or collect a form or pay for a form. They just do it at once, wherever they are, at whatever time they want. And apart from the cost of downloading it, which is minuscule even in developing countries, there's almost no other extra cost to the user. They can go from house to house and do it and generate codes for 100 people, 200 people, 1,000 people if they wish, at absolutely no extra cost to themselves. Why it works? All this is happening because the price of mobile phones are consistently dropping. But to drive this point home, I'd like to take you on a trip down memory lane. This was a picture that was put up by a friend of mine on Facebook. As you can see, it was a very long time ago, 17 years ago, I think. I went to a school that was close to my house, and we were charged $10 a term. And this is cheap, even by Ghanaian standards. And I went to school with people who who came from the lower and lower middle class. And that's me amongst the crowd. But there is an interesting thing about this next image. Every name you see in blue is somebody who is in that picture and is on Facebook. And every name you see in black is the person who is on that picture and is not on Facebook. So you can see the number of my friends who are on Facebook far outnumbered those who aren't. And some of the people who are in black are the teachers, and they haven't gotten around to using Facebook yet. You take a closer look and you notice that this image was added on the 25th of October 2008. This shows you that people people have been using the internet in a big way for quite some time now. This picture is almost about 2.5 years old now. And you can notice that there have been 82 comments on this picture. So it's an active community. People responding and talking about, reminiscing about, days gone by. But I would like to draw your attention to one person, Von Dutch Asari El Santo. That's not her real name, by the way. She doesn't use her real name on Facebook, but I've gotten her permission to show you what is on her wall as of this morning. So this is her wall on Facebook. Now, the interesting thing is the Facebook updates. And you can see that she has been updating her Facebook, always with her mobile phone, which means she has a pretty high-end phone, or at the very least, a low-end smartphone. And with that, you can see she updated it 17 hours ago via mobile web. On Tuesday, via mobile web again. On Monday, via mobile web. And again on the 6th of March, when it was Ghana's Independence Day, and she was celebrating a sort of Liverpool victory. Now, some more numbers. There are 60 million active mobile phone users in Ghana. This is in a population of 24 million. So over 75% of the population has a mobile phone. And when you start discounting all the little children who are below the age of 14, it's almost 100% of people in the country have a mobile phone. According to a contact at MTN, 12.7 of these phones are smartphones. I found this number incredible until I went back to Ghana, and I noticed that out of the 14 of my friends who I was close enough to know what mobile phones they used, 10 of them have smartphones, and out of those 10, 7 have GPS capability. And so it is perfectly credible. And in fact, if anything, the MTN numbers are a little bit low. Temporal arbitrage. Now, we've spent the last few minutes talking about location. But for temporal arbitrage, I developed a few other links, which I'm going to show you in the second demonstration. So switch to the second demonstration now, and once you're done, we can continue with this presentation. I want to show a few examples of how the system could be used. So we've got a few people here from all diverse backgrounds. The first person we're going to talk about is Awa. She's a retiree and she does not have a phone. Now, even without a phone, she can still acquire her code from her friends and family. Remember, it's absolutely free for them to give her code, so why not? She can record locations, and she can use her landline or any other means of communication she has to call in emergency services to her house. She can call in other services, like if she's too old to buy food and bring it to her house. For a small fee, the shop owner can deliver it directly to her house. And the shop owner can do this because the shop owner will be able to have her code when she goes to the market or whatever it is. She can communicate her business or home location, i.e., if she has a small business at home, she can basically communicate it via on on a signboard or on a board or a billboard close to the main road. And anybody who sees that billboard can enter this code into their phones and find out where she is very accurately to an accuracy of on average about 7.25 meters, which is almost nothing. Brian is a farmer and he has a basic phone. He can basically do everything except for find the location of others and generating codes. She can he also has the added advantage of being able to transfer the codes via text, email, or by a normal phone call. Chris is a truck driver, and he has an entry level phone. He can he has to get his code from friends and family. He can record locations, and he can call the emergency services. If he ever breaks down, he can call in other services like a breakdown service. He can also communicate his business location, and he can find the location of others. For example, if Brian calls him and says, I need all my tomatoes delivered to Accra, he can know exactly where Brian is and go to him and then collect the goods and go exactly where Brian wants him to go in the capital city or wherever else. Elaine. Elaine is a market retailer and she can do absolutely everything, including the generation of code and finding the location of others. And this makes life so much easier for her and for the people who deal with her. She can deliver. So now her market is not just people who can afford to come to her or who happen to be by her. She can basically employ other people to deliver goods and services to people all over the city or all over the country for that matter. And she can also find out the price of goods and services in other parts in other parts of in other parts of the country. So she will benefit from this greatly. David is a wholesale buyer and he has a high-end phone. But what this means is he's simply able to do things a little bit more easily. This is a personal view of mine. I think touch phones are much easier to use than smartphones, than entry level smartphones. And so these are all the things that he can do. Now we've seen all these people from various stratus of the society, and we've seen how this system can benefit each and every single one of them. And again, this is all happening